What up, internet? Who you are, where you be, where you at, what you see. It is your favorite podcast, Pop Cult Parent, and we are here broadcasting in the future. We made it, y'all. We made it to the future. The year 2022. We survived a lot. We've seen a lot. We've been through a lot. I'm one of your hosts, Mark F. Jones, and as always, I'm joined by my two co-hosts. Fellas, why don't you introduce yourselves?
What up? This is Niels R.Y., a.k.a. I Must Not Fear. Fear is the mind killer.
And this is Shannon, a.k.a. Scheming and Streaming. I feel like that's about all I did in 2021.
I'm not going to lie, Shannon. I am very curious how you amassed this list. Because from the time we've talked, I know of only one streaming service that you purchased. Like, maybe this is a side conversation, but I am curious how you schemed your way into making this list.
Shannon finds a way.
Yeah, you would be surprised. It feel like we basically got cable now. We got not actual cable, just a bundle of streaming. So, but yeah,
password sharing, a little overseas Russian sites, you know, whatever. But look, everybody, it's a new year, and with that, we get to reflect on where we've been and what we've seen in the past and Pop Cult Parent. We've talked about the pop culture we've consumed in the past year or watched or, shared with our children. And that's what we're going to do today. This is our top 10 list of, let's say, things, culture, pop culture. It could be media in 2021. And we're all going to go through our top 10. And then we'll delve into those lists a little bit deeper. Hopefully we'll keep it civil. Shannon has surprised me in the past with his some of his list choices. But hey, it's all love, and that makes good podcasting.
So just for those new to Pop Cult Parent, there is a certain way that we approach our top 10 list or any type of ranking that we do. Each of us will go over our own list. Once we are done, we will share our honorable mention. Ideally, none of us will try to interrupt. Every now and then, we've done a good job at it, but, we'll see how this goes. And then typically what happens is after we all go over our list, we'll see which ones we have in common, and we'll discuss those ones, and we'll make note of some of the other ones later. So again, we're going to talk about the top 10 things that we enjoyed in 2021. And Shannon, we'll turn it over to you.
All right. Thank you. And I will not disappoint with this list either. There will be some I don't know. There will be some odd ones in here, I'm sure. So starting off, number 10 for my top 10 of 2021, number 10 is the book, The Water Dancer by Ta-Nehisi Coates. That was great. Number 9, Sex Lives of College Girls. It is a show. It is a legit show.
Yeah, Shannon. I was about to say we're a family podcast, Shannon.
Yeah.
I was like, what? Yeah. You just really explaining all the things that you watched in 2021. I joke.
So Sex Lives of College Girls. Number 8, Ted Lasso season 2. Number 7, Insecure season 5. Number 6, The Suicide Squad. Number 5, WandaVision. Number 4, Judas and the Black Messiah. Number 3, Zack Snyder, Justice League. Number 2, Spider-Man No Way Home. And coming in at number 1, The Harder They Fall. And then my honorable mentions are True Story with Kevin Hart and Wesley Snipes. And then Invincible, which came out of nowhere, was on Amazon Prime.
Shannon Smith. You know what, Shannon? I'm glad you went first because this gives me some time to change my list. you have named some stuff. I was like, yo, I forgot that came out in 2021. Mm-hmm. Woo. Oh, Shannon, your list was fire, brother. Your list was fire.
I know you added that just to make the Snyder boys happy.
For me, that was great. It was great. I know DC got his problems and all this and that, but for me, I enjoyed Snyder Cut. It was up there. I felt, for me, it answered a number of questions and it really filled in gaps that existed. I know there are some dissenters out there, but no, I really enjoyed it. It was up there. Some of the top stuff I saw in 2021. But obviously, for me, I'm like, The Harder They Fall was everything. Well, I guess we'll go into that a little later. I'm assuming it might be on some people's lists. So I will. I definitely got some comments about that one, but I'll save it till we get into sort of the similarity discussion part.
Awesome. Well, I will jump in and Marky can bring us home. So jumping in, my list, number 10, we have Godzilla versus Kong. Number 9, we have Dune, the new Dune, the 2021, with Timothée Chalamet, who was like the skinny Tom Holland, and everybody else in color who played the Sand people, but neither here nor there. 8, we have WandaVision. 7, we have King Richard. 6, we have Falcon and the Winter Soldier. 5, y'all know I have to read comic books in some way, shape, or form. We have the final edition of Attack on Titan. The last issue of Attack on Titan came out this year. And yeah. 4, we have Shang-Chi. 3, we have Invincible, the Amazon cartoon that Shannon just mentioned. 2, Judas and the Black Messiah. And number 1, Spider-Man No Way Home, shock of the century. For my honorable mention, I have Loki. I have everything Zack Snyder. So Army of the Dead and Zack Snyder Justice League. I have Harder They Fall on my honorable mention, not because I didn't think it was worthy of being in the top 10, but because I haven't finished it yet. But it is good. I have thoroughly so even the 50% of Harder They Fall that I've seen is so good, I had to mention it in some way, shape, or form here. And then my last honorable mention probably doesn't deserve to be here, but it was near and dear to my heart. And it is because of you, Mark Jones, that I know about this movie. And that movie is called Malignant. Oh my goodness. Maybe we'll get to it, but Malignant, whew, that was a ride.
Shannon, I don't know if you've seen Malignant, but
I haven't seen it yet. It's a horror movie, right?
Oh yeah,
it sure is.
Shannon, do yourself a favor and please watch it, dog. It is the horror movie. I just when Nels and a mutual friend of ours, when I see something that I think I know they will enjoy, I just text them, hey, watch this. You're welcome. And then I leave it at that. And Malignant.
And he has batted 1,000. Because the mutual, when Mark suggests a horror movie, we're he knows what we want. And we got exactly what we wanted. Ooh. Yeah. Anyways, that is my list. That is my list.
Okay. I gotta check that one out because I'm getting a little more brave. I'm venturing, building up my tolerance again.
Shannon, you know when you watch a movie and you're like, okay, I see where this is going. I understand what's happening here. I can kind of foreshadow. Dog, this is the kind of movie where when you figure out what's happening, you're like, oh, is this? If you had the cover in your hand, you'd be looking at the cover is this what the movie's about?
You're why is this going here? Why is this the story?
Dog, it is a treat. It is a dope movie. It's one of the best, I don't know, besides maybe Quiet Place 2, probably the best horror movie to come out this year. It was really good. But Nels, I'm so happy that made your list. That's awesome, man. So I'll go ahead and get into it. Fellas, this was a hard list, even though I didn't watch a lot. I was making my list and seeing everything that came out in 2021. and seeing everything that I did not get to watch. So just straight up, like, I'm usually at home with my 2 kids. I don't have time to watch everything. There's some heavy hitters that didn't make my list just because I did not see them. But so don't come for me, internet. But and also, y'all gonna hate me. I have 3 ties on my list. I know, Nels, I'm sorry. I have 3 ties on my list.
You are literally going against how we do this. But please.
I'm sorry. I try my best.
This is your show, so please, please continue.
And if we did take commercial breaks, we would have taken one right then, just so Nils could have a moment to sort of get his eyes back situated. They rolled to the back of his head.
They sure did. Go ahead, Mark Jones, with your 20 list of 20. Even though we said 10.
Look, don't worry. And to make you happy, the second one in the tie is like kind of the runner up of the 2. So if you want, we can count the first one as like the winner. All right. So number 10, The Harder They Fall, right? At number 9, I got a tie with Invincible and the final first half of the season of Attack on Titan. Number 8, The Suicide Squad. Number 7 is the wrap up of season 3 of Craig of the Creek. Number 6, I got Encanto and In the Heights. Number 5, Loki. Number 4, Succession, HBO drama Succession. Number 3, No Way Home. Number 2, Inside by Bo Burnham. And number 1 is a tie, but really a winner, with Luca and then the Disney short film Far From the Tree. It was the short film that played before Encanto in theaters. It's on Disney Plus right now. I'll love to get into it, but it just it never left my heart once I saw it. And I think it's doing some really dope, deep things that like people aren't really even talking about. So, my honorable mentions list. I got Will Smith's book, Will, WandaVision, The Winter Soldier, Insecure, the Kanye West Drake concert that came on Amazon, and A Quiet Place 2.
All right, Mark, we gotta talk. Okay. All right, Mark, hold on. There's a couple things we gotta talk about. First, I don't know how I feel about Encanto and In the Heights sharing a spot. I feel like that was let me give props to the Hispanic community in one column. So I'm just going to call that out for our Hispanic brothers and sisters. Yes, I saw it too, and I'm letting Mark Jones know about it. So that's number 1. 2, because you're the only one that put this on the list, Mark, I'm going to just talk about this for a little bit. Like the wrap up part of Craig of the Creek, that joint was so good. I was watching it with Ian, but I wasn't really watching it with Ian. Ian was like, Daddy, can you turn it up? Or Daddy, can you rewind it? I was like, hush. I was like, we are watching some cinematic genius right now, son. Like every question got answered. I was like, is this the series finale? Yo, it was good. If y'all haven't seen it, I want to spoil it for folks who haven't seen it. And whether you have kids or not. Because frankly, Ian kind of enjoyed it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Sorry. Well, yes,
I know. I'm with you. I think we had a similar watching experience. My kids like Craig of the Creek. I love Craig of the Creek. I honestly think besides maybe Bluey and some other things, it might be the best kids show on TV right now. And it's funny.
Because Bluey's up there.
Bluey is up there, but dog, Craig of the Creek is funny. Like I'm talking about, like everybody hates Chris level hilarious. It is a funny show. The characters are great. The stories are great, and you get caught up. They capture, and you can tell it's people who made this show were our age. Right, they grew up around our time because there's a lot of 90s reference, but they captured my first to like sixth grade afternoons. Just that come home, get out of your school clothes, go outside all day, get inside before the street light comes on. They just capture that energy, that feeling, the politics of being a kid, like the culture of being a kid and having like your own little like play areas and place. It's a phenomenal show, man. And like maybe one of the blackest shows on TV also. I'm not even like just unapologetically black. Like,
and I gotta say, pop cult, you've probably heard us talk about Craig of the Creek many times because we've talked about Craig of the Creek and Bluey. If that isn't in your arsenal with your kids watching Portfolio, like please add it on because those they don't miss. And Mark, you were saying all that, and that isn't even talking about how season 3 wrapped up. Season 3, the wrap up of season 3 was like on some Spider-Man No Way Home stuff. Like just
it was
like
pretty epic. Yeah, it was epic.
It was legit epic. I legit didn't know they were gonna have this show anymore. Like I was like, what is left? You did everything.
They ended it in a great way. Thankfully, fans, it's coming back. And if you watch the show, The Sister is getting a spinoff series, which I think is going to be aimed for a little younger age, but highly recommended. Check it out if you haven't. Craig of the Creek comes on Cartoon Network. I think all the seasons are HBO Max. I highly recommend it.
All right, so we gave the Craig of the Creek it's just due. Shannon, you want to comment anything about Mark's list before we jump in?
Solid list. I was surprised when you came out the gate with Harder They Fall. I was like, whoa, like that's my number one. And you're like, I mean, of all the things I saw this year, it makes my list. Like that's what you said there. So Inside, I think that's maybe like the only one that I'm like, I have not even heard of that in any way.
So have you heard of Bo Burnham before?
No.
He's like a musician, comedian. I really don't know much about him, right? I've heard about him, but I'm not really like a fan, right? But I heard, so long story short, he made a comedy special for Netflix in like his like little guest house in the back of his house, right? He shot it himself. He edited himself. The music, all aspects of the production are done by him. And Shannon, I'm telling you, like this one is big for me because like that's what I do for a living. So to see what this man did by himself, I was just blown away. And the music kind of slaps. I'm not even going to lie. And it's like great commentary about like what we're going through now and the internet and there comes a time in the special where like you see him start to deteriorate and like kind of break down and it gets to this point you're like, is this an act? Is this real? Like, I don't know where he's pretending or this is real. And like it's an experience, dog. It's an experience. So I was just blown away when I saw it, and I have like so much respect for him as like an artist after watching it. I highly recommend it. Funny ass songs too. Like it's funny as hell too. It's like I was laughing out loud the whole time. So I recommend it. If whatever your vices are, I recommend maybe doing some of those before watching it.
That is hilarious. All righty. Y'all ready to jump in?
Yeah, let's get it.
Yes, sir.
So I think we'll start off with some real quick hitters because they're things that we've actually had episodes on. So funny enough, shock of the century, Spider-Man represented in some way, shape, or form on all of our lists. We recently just had our reaction to Spider-Man No Way Home. So fellas, do y'all just want to take 1 or 2 minutes to just quickly talk about anything Spider-Man No Way Home related? I can actually start us off. So I was a little emotional when we talked about Spider-Man No Way Home. And I just wanted to come back to the pop call and say, I've calmed down, and thank you for all of you who checked on me to see, how I was doing mentally. I am back to realizing that The Dark Knight is still the greatest superhero movie of all time.
But he's back. My friend is back.
That should not take away the love that I do have for Spider-Man No Way Home. I still think that movie was fantastic. It ain't no Dark Knight, but it is truly
Dark Knight.
It was truly a fantastic. It got me to that place though. You know what I'm saying? Like, it got me to that place. That is phenomenal that a movie got me to that place right off the bat. So, but no, it's not better than Dark Knight.
Yeah. No, I'm happy that it snuck in there, like, because what all they had to do was wait, maybe 2 more weeks and it would have came out in 2022 or like whenever it came out. So I'm like, they snuck it right in there at the end of 2021. And so, thank you for gifting us so it could make our list. But yeah, anything else about it, like we said, amazing, just amazing. It got me to the theater. Like, I mean, we all know COVID is a serious thing. So, being careful, but I'm like, bruh, I think I was ready to risk it all. I was like, I gotta see this. I was out here risking it all to see.
I was like, my family's health, Spider-Man No Way Home.
There comes a time in every man's life where he's got to go see No Way Home or risk his family's safety.
But yeah. So I already said in the previous episode, just all the things about the movie, loved it. But yeah, truly that got me back to the theater because I had not been to the theater since, I don't know, sometime in 2020, and it got me back. So, yeah.
Yeah, man. I mean, y'all know how I feel about Spider-Man, Peter Parker, so I won't go into much, but I mean, what a movie, man. What a movie. And I'm glad, once the dust settled, you came back to the true king, but it still doesn't take anything away from No Way Home. I will say, after watching this movie and hearing the chatter about it and the buzz, I'm a little worried, fellas, because Hollywood is a copycat game. And so I just feel like now this is all we're going to see is like how much past IP can we stuff in your face and can we get the old James Bond with the new James Bond, or you know what I mean? Nell's eyes getting big, but no, I think people aren't going to do it the right way.
Heaven. You shouldn't have said James Bond. I want to see that.
Sean Connery, Daniel Craig, but I just don't think that people who care as much as Marvel are going to do it the right way. I mean, we're already seeing it. And man, it must suck to be DC right now because you had Flashpoint and Marvel beat you to it with Spider-Man, but Flashpoint is probably still going to be good, but I'm a little worried about what this is going to mean. I mean, this movie made all the money. I think it made Black Widow's total in its like first weekend.
Yep.
And so, and then another thing that worries me is
surpassed Black Panther.
Yeah.
In COVID, it surpassed Black Panther.
In COVID. So, and another thing that worries me is, I don't know if you guys saw, but there was a trend. Any movies that weren't like superhero related or like kind of sci-fi related couldn't really crack 20 million. And that's kind of like shocking. So this might set a pace and trend for like, we might only get superhero and sci-fi movies in the movie theater. Studios might only dedicate their budgets to these big, IP driven items. So who knows, but it's going to be interesting, but it's still, what a great movie. William Dafoe deserves like everything. Make that man the Joker. I'm here for it. And that's all I got to say about it.
Yeah. To your comment too, I'm like, I really feel sorry for anybody who is not like a action, whether Marvel or DC fan, because like that's where we see the money's being made. So yeah,
Okay, so that was Spider-Man. If you want to hear more, go back to our previous episode where we talk about it. Another episode that we did earlier in 2021 was about Zack Snyder's Justice League. So, gentlemen, any one or two things that you want to add about Zack Snyder's Justice League?
How could I'm playing? How could you not? Real quick, before we get into this, did y'all read that Josh Whedon interview?
Yes.
Okay.
I was like, yo, I believe everything everyone said. Like, I believe what Gal Gadot said. I believe what the brother said. Like, if a random person in the street was like, oh yeah, Josh Whedon smacked me in the face, I'd be like, yes, he probably did smack you in the face. Like, that man, yeah, good luck, brother. Like, I don't know what you about to do for the rest of your life, but I don't know if you're gonna be a director.
I can't believe this guy doesn't have someone on his team who was like at that interview being like, shut up. You know, just like shut your fucking mouth. Shut up. Like, bruh, he if his career wasn't, if he wasn't like canceled, he's canceled now. There's one thing though, I believe what he said. He said like in an interview that DC came to him and they weren't happy with what Zack Snyder was producing. And DC kind of came back and they're like, no, we were always happy. I'm like, no, y'all weren't. Y'all are full of it. Y'all are so full of it. And then
we all know what happened. Like, y'all was shook.
Yeah, y'all were shook, and and this ties into. So there was a part where he was saying about when him and Gal Gadot got into it, and she told him that he doesn't understand superhero movies, and he was like, he's like, what? I just made at the time the highest grossing superhero movie of all time, and I'm no way coming into the defense of Josh Whedon, but like I could see someone having that in their roster, in their backpack, and someone telling them they don't know how to make superhero movies, and then just going off on everybody. Like, y'all don't know my name. Yeah. Y'all don't know who I am.
He did also make Alias.
Didn't
he make Buffy?
Firefly, Buffy, you know, so
Dollhouse.
And he's done a lot of like script touch-up work. Like, in it, like he touches it like Speed. There was something else, like he was that guy in the early 90s that would just, they give him a script like, yo, clean this up, make it a little bit more witty. So like he's done it. He's got like the history and the prestige, I guess, you know. But when they said that in an interview, I was like, hey, I can see this guy losing his mind after that was said to him.
I can see that as well. And yeah, don't say any of the stuff you said, and then don't be silent for a year and then come back and make it even worse. Just fade off. But anyways, enough about Joss Whedon. Yes. So I mean, I don't think I have anything more to add except, you know, it was a 4-hour movie. I haven't gone back to it, which is crazy because I really, really enjoyed watching it. I like thoroughly enjoyed the experience, but I have not gone back to it since. So I don't know what that means. Like, I don't know about the staying power. I don't know about how much I actually enjoyed it, or did I just enjoy the experience? Because I watched Dark Knight repeatedly. If there's ever access to it, I'm watching it. I have wanted to see Spider-Man No Way Home over again. And as soon as I am earthly able to do it, I will. But Justice League, I was like, oh, that was good. No, I'm good. I've literally haven't seen it since. So that's my take on it.
Yeah. And once again, you know, everybody knows how I feel about it. Loved it. And what comes to mind, I'm like, what Sonic walked so Zack Snyder Justice League could run. Because before that, like, I can't really recall, like, really outside of maybe Sonic and this movie, something where the fans were like so much of make this change or do this thing, whatever, where the fans had so much influence that something happened, you know. And I reference Sonic because everybody knows, like, Sonic he looked horrible or whatever at the beginning, and then fans were like changed. Yeah.
Terrible.
And then fans were like, okay, change the way he looks. And they made, and the studios and everything got pressure from fans, made a change. And it was, to an extent, it was a dream come true. And I mean, I say that in a sense of, even for issues that exist within the movie, for what was it, like a year, 2, 3, almost what felt like 3 years, felt like it. Fans were like, we know the Snyder Cut exists, or we know much of it exists. Make this, finish this. We're going to tweet, hashtag, apply pressure, all of that. And then it happened. And yeah, it was a 4-hour event, but that's why streaming services are perfect, because I don't know if I would have sat in a theater for 4 hours, but I got to see it over the course of like 3 nights watching it on streaming.
That's a really good question that I'd love for us to explore sometime in the future. Times when like studios responded to fans. Because like we all remember Sonic, and this is actually like a really great example. But I am curious on how many times it's happened. I'll just like quickly name one other time that I remember, and it is in no way, shape, or form on the same league as this. But it is when everybody was pressuring ESPN to release The Last Dance earlier than they had planned to, because the NBA season got shut down, and we were all just chilling. And they're like, no, we're going to release it in the summer. And we're like, no, release it now. And they did. And it was worth it. Like that's probably like one of the only few times I remember the studio doing something like that.
True.
Yeah. Hey, real quick, Nils, you said you haven't been back to it. And you're like, does that matter? And yeah, I think it does matter, because I have not been back to the Snyder Cut since I saw it. I enjoyed watching it. I was surprised that I liked it. And then, like I said in that episode, after seeing that movie and the Joss Whedon cut, I don't know why DC didn't just put out Zack Snyder's cut. And again, I think the guy, he does better when he has more time to tell a story, because let's be real, who knows how good his cut would have been if it was 2 hours long, right? He had 4 hours to tell a movie, tell a story, and that helps a lot. So I don't know if I'll ever watch the Snyder Cut again. I mean, I'm good, and it seems like DC is going to move away from his vision, and I'm kind of here for it. I know that's going to upset a lot of people, but yeah, I mean, I get it. I've said this before, I'll say it again. The movie about the Snyder Cut is going to be the movie I can't wait to see. Especially after this Joss Whedon interview, the movie about them making the Snyder Cut is going to be a dope movie.
That's going to be such a good movie. I can't wait. All right, let's move on. So another one we can maybe quickly talk about, even though I don't know if we talked about it in Pop Call Parent, is the Suicide Squad. So I think it was on like a honorable mention here, or you all both ranked it. Anyways, Suicide Squad. I actually did not have it on my list, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. You know, when you hire James Gunn, you give him like free creative freedom and just let his mind go. And yeah, it was exactly what I signed up for. And I was pleasantly happy with like everything. And I haven't seen Peacemaker, the TV show, but I'm sure it's entertaining. Like, I'm like, yo, because you're like, if you give James Gunn like reign, like his comedy is that's like my my taste palette. Like I enjoy what he finds funny. So yeah, it was a great time. I enjoyed it.
Nels, get on Peacemaker ASAP. Like you're gonna love it. You're gonna love it. It takes place, I think, a couple of months after the Suicide Squad ends, but you're gonna love it. But I mean, I might as well just jump in. Yeah, like, you know, the first Suicide Squad, Will Smith, man, I personally think that might be the worst DCEU movie. It had some things in it that could have been good, but I don't know. You're looking at me, Nels. I think the ending of Suicide Squad is just so. It just like fizzles so bad, and it becomes another blue beam in the sky. And then what's his name? not my new family that I just met 3 hours ago. I'm just like, come on, dog. But
now that I think about it, they sure did do Fast and Furious at the end. They had the Hispanic guy go, "No, my family,
not my new family."
Wow,
it's too true. Too true.
But no, James Gunn knocked it out the park. This guy is good at taking like B-level, C-level, even D-level people and just like making them your favorite characters, man. Like everyone was here for Polka Dot Man. Peacemaker is like now one of my new favorite like DC characters. Shout out. And then the acting, I mean, Idris Elba and John Cena need to just be in movies together because they like played so well off of each other. No, it was great. It looked great. Great soundtrack. I just can't wait to see what more James Gunn does with either Marvel or the DC universe.
Yeah, no, I'm agreeing with that. Definitely loved it. I saw it when it came on HBO Max, I guess the second time, because I think it came on like early on and then disappeared and came back. But I agree with all those points. And just with the characters, like you were saying, I had not heard of any of those characters outside of Harley Quinn. And I mean, we know Viola Davis, her character in there.
Amanda Waller.
Yeah, Amanda Waller. I'm like, outside of that, I don't think I really heard of anybody there. And same deal. Love them, especially Peacemaker and Idris Elba as well. Like that's about all I got to say about it. I really enjoyed it, and then even just the sort of the weird thing, even with Starro in the end, where we're like, we went through all of this, and he's still just like, I was enjoying myself, just floating in space, and y'all did all this. I just would have been fine floating in space, but you made all this happen, basically.
Yeah. No, Shannon, that like, and you feel for Starro at the end, and then the balls to make Starro your villain. Like, Nels, you can attest. Starro is a call all Justice League members right now. Stop what you're doing and come here to beat this guy villain. And
Starro
he's just
is
the villain.
Literally the villain. Like, the villain that helped create the Justice League. They're like, oh, we all need to come together to fight this thing. It was like one of the first, if not the first, Justice League villain.
And James Gunn just throws that guy at the end of his movie. I love it. And it works. And shout out to Sylvester Stallone with his I don't know if he was mocap, but like the voice acting and stuff he did with
I'm pretty sure he just did the voice acting. I don't see Sylvester Stallone. He's like, nah, brother. You gotta pay me a little bit more if you want the face. You want the action.
You want me to go? You want me to move? Oh, damn, there's gonna be a. He's like, I can talk, James, but if you want me to move, I don't know. It's like,
all right, y'all. So we probably won't spend any time on this one because I don't want to ruin it for folks who haven't seen it. But just mentioning, Insecure wrapped up its last season. Insecure is a great show. Shout out to Issa Rae and everybody there. Great acting. Highly suggest, if you haven't gotten started on it, watch it. It's a great show. It's worth your time. And the series finale, chef's kiss. It was great. But I just wanted to quickly name that. I know we kind of like had it in some way, shape, or form, but now we're going to talk about the heavy hitters. So let's start off with Invincible. Invincible was a show that came on Amazon. The guy who wrote Invincible is also the writer of The Walking Dead, in case you're trying to like piece who the person is. And Invincible is it's like a somewhat underground, well-known superhero comic book. It's not DC or Marvel, so like folks don't really know about it. But if you're like a comic book head, you've like heard of it before. It's not super popular. It's like not on like the popular level of The Walking Dead. Everybody knows about The Walking Dead, but like it's up there. So if you like are curious about like how it was received beforehand. I was like, oh, that's cool. It's kind of like on the level of like a Hitman comic book. So yeah, in case you were wondering, I have read the first two collections of Invincible. The show is better. The show is better. Better. I thought it was going to be good. No. This show was great. I thoroughly, and I'm trying so hard not to like.
Okay, spoiler warning for Invincible. If you don't want to be ruined, like skip forward a couple minutes, but we're going to spoil the first season of Invincible starting now.
Yes. Y'all, like, first of all, so like, I did not know about Viltrumites. I did not know about Omni-Man going into the show. When I saw how the episode ended, I was like, yo, what is going to happen next episode? And for it to just go, no, like, I was like, yo, what is going on? So why this show is so good is because there is a monster in the closet and you as the audience are the only one that knows it. And it's like that for the whole season. You know that there is a monster in the closet and no one sees the monster in the closet. And that is like supreme writing. Like how they how they show that on TV was so good. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. Anyways, y'all, those are my thoughts.
No, like definitely like I didn't know anything about Invincible. I heard about Invincible. I've seen it like in comic book stores, and I knew what's his name. Is it Kirkman? Is that who he wrote it? But I just never touched it. But that first episode, and then the Stinger scene, because the first episode you're like, okay, coming of age superhero story. The voice acting in this is pretty good. The animation, okay, I'm liking these characters. I don't know who this world's Justice League was, but the way that Omni-Man destroyed these people broke my heart, dog. Mm-hmm. I was like, I felt like I was like, hey, I was going to start liking these guys. Like, who do you do?
The Flash was rushing. You were just getting to know him and his wife.
Yeah, I was ready to start liking these guys. What are you doing, man? And you're right. No, that is the analogy of the year that you, like the monster in the closet, and only you know it, and no one else knows it, and you just see these glimpses of whatever the hell Omni-Man is keep coming out more and more and more, and then that last battle with him and Mark is hard to watch. It really is hard to watch. And shout out!
Oh my god, the train! Gosh. I had nightmares about the train for like 3 weeks after that show.
It's hard to watch. And then the end, he's like, well, what will you have, Mark? What will you have? Like, I'll have you, Dad. It's like all the blood, and I'll have you.
I was like, he still is dead. He's like, Daddy. Man, oh man.
So I went back after I watched the show and I read like the first 3 issues. But it's crazy because like what happened in episode 1, I think doesn't even happen till like 10 issues into the comics or something like that. So they just went for it in the show. I'm very excited for the season 2. I'm not going to say any more about it, but J.K. Simmons, like superb choice, great acting. I don't know now, as you read the comics, I don't know if they're going to do anything with Mark's girlfriend because the internet hates that girl. I don't know if she gets any better or anything in the comics, but everyone hates that girl right now.
They did not go that direction. First of all, she's not black in the comic books. That's number one.
Well, yeah, and Mark isn't half Asian, I guess, either in the comics, right?
He is, but you can't really tell because they're like they don't really elaborate on it, but it's left to your interpretation in the comics. But like the girlfriend is a blonde-haired white girl with no personality. But I haven't read too much in the comics because I was like, yo, I want to be surprised because the show is better. Like, read the comics if you want. Support Robert Kirkman. Like, I'm sure he gets money in some way, shape, or form if you buy the comics, but the show is better. Anyway, Shannon, sorry, please.
No, this is good. And I'm like agreeing with y'all. Loved it. As you say, there's that monster in the closet. Like, I think we've all seen movies where, you know, there's a team or whatever it is, and then you find out, oh, this person is a bad guy. And usually it's like they're on some sneaky stuff. It's like, okay, they're sabotaging stuff. They're doing things like this. This one is like, if I can't even say if Superman, if an overpowered Superman was just like, you know what, and kryptonite don't even affect me anymore. You know what? I'm just going ham. Like that's how it is. It's like this monster in the closet is also not this sneaky, I'm sabotaging stuff. It's someone who, even when you face them straight up, you can't stop them. Nothing you can do. And we saw that from the beginning. I mean, they don't just hurt you really badly. They're like, okay, my eyes popped out of my head. I am dead now. Like, that's the type of stuff he does. So yeah, overall, definitely enjoyed the show. And for me, you know, I was telling y'all, it really came out of nowhere because, you know, I was like, I hadn't really read the comics or even like seen the comics. And I was just like, oh, it's a superhero show on Amazon Prime. Let me try this out. And I mean, I low-key, I sort of want to make a couple comparisons to The Boys, but then I'm like, it's still like a world of difference, I feel like, between those two. The only slight similarity you could even make was like, oh, both the people are semi-similar to Superman and they end up being bad. But yeah, either way, I loved it, and I had no expectation going in, and everything blew my mind. But,
Shannon, real quick, when you brought up The Boys, one thing that I love about this show, and I get it because The Boys does this and that's his style. I feel like The Boys is a very like nihilistic, cynical show. Mm-hmm. And Invincible doesn't feel that. It feels very genuine, and it feels like it's like there's very cynical and nihilistic people in this show, but I feel like the show itself is very genuine and like very like hopeful in a weird way. So I really appreciate that about it. I appreciate, like, I don't mind violence in my animation or just in general, but I'm not big on just like cynicism. So when a show can be violent, but like is saying something and doing something with that violence, I really dig it.
That's dope.
This show and The Boys to a degree, but this show in particular shows you why Lex Luthor is the way he is. Like, Lex Luthor is like, this is probably Lex Luthor's favorite show because he's like, see y'all, you see what could happen? I told y'all just let this man run around the world just because he's nice. Mm-hmm. He's like, this man could kill us and we couldn't do nothing. I'm the one trying to shut it down.
Ben Affleck and Batman.
This could be tomorrow. Better. And y'all all here keying with this man. Mm-hmm. I'm going to be the one that y'all run to. Like, that is, Lex Luthor goes to sleep watching Invincible. This is his jam. We couldn't do a thing if Superman was like, nah, it's over. Like, if Superman's like, I'm done with y'all, this is what would happen, number one. And number two, like, how, like, the beautiful thing about the show is like the US until like the government guy, he knows the majority of the show that Omni-Man did it, but he's so scared to approach it. He spends the entire like season just getting some stuff together because he knows once it comes out, he still can't stop him. Like, he's so scared for anyone else to find out, only because he knows he can't stop him. And he's slowly just trying to get stuff like, maybe this robot might kill him. Like, I got to get his son on my side. Like, I got to do all this stuff just to get a chance to maybe possibly get him to stop. But like, he can't stop him. So if y'all can tell, I really like this show. All right, next. Harder They Fall. Shannon, this your time to shine. This your number one.
All right. This movie had it all. It was, so The Harder They Fall, it was essentially a Black Western. And the characters were on point. The music was on point. The just everything, the costumes, and so I will say, even outside of the movie, I feel like I was listening to the soundtrack for like a week solid. Like that's all I was listening to, and even like they have little callbacks and little Easter eggs and things in there, like. And even in that, there was a little callback where like they're walking by a train, and I believe the train is called the CE or CE Bozeman.
It says like C Bozeman on the side of the train.
Yeah. So little callbacks like that. Like definitely had some funny parts. It was a star-studded cast, and even someone like, let's just say like Dion Cole, like he's not a huge star, but he's still somebody who usually, if he's in something, you're like, oh yeah, he's playing like this major role. He was like a small character, and
damn, this movie about to be dope as shit.
Yeah, and it was the gunfights, the huge twist. Like once again, yeah, I know Niels, you haven't finished, so we're not gonna. I guess we won't spoil it here, but there are some twists and things that happen, and it's like, yo, like maybe. Well, I would say I didn't necessarily see it coming.
It wasn't my number 10 because I felt like it deserved to be there. I just had a hard time. I knew it was going to make my list, and then everything else kind of just hit me more emotionally, maybe, and that's why it was higher. But yeah, man, this movie and the acting and the like you said, this movie I enjoyed on the same level as Black Panther because all the things that make a movie, I really dug. The costumes, the sets, the score, the soundtrack, the acting, the props, like it's like they just really dove into this world. There's a fight scene with Regina King that takes place, and I'm not gonna spoil nothing else, but it takes place in like a not a factory, but a tactile kind of, where they create stuff, and it just looks really dope. And it's funny, I saw a tweet when this movie came out, and it said, can someone now show Quentin Tarantino that it's possible to make a Western without using the N-word?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Because we know, hey, I love the Hateful Eight, but man, that man loves to sprinkle the N-word all through his scripts. It gets a little comfortable. Yeah. Like, you got an issue with the N-word.
He has like there's something like.
There's something
he
there.
Definitely does something nasty to himself and says it over and over again.
It's like feet and the N-word. That guy just, I don't know, something about it.
Yes.
The other part is, as you were mentioning, Mark, there, all the things from the characters and all this and that. I think the other thing that hits too is, like, even like with Black Panther and other movies, when it causes you to also be like, let me Google some stuff. Like, because it's like, yes, we know, even say if we're throwing out Black Panther, like we know Wakanda's not real, but there's still like some stuff like, okay, like, is this like an actual language they were speaking? Is this a mixture of languages? Let me Google this. What is, what are some of these minerals and things? And so I take it to this, like, this legit had you sort of Googling different cowboys and some of these characters. And then even what's dope, you're finding like, oh, so even a lot of the Westerns and things that have happened, like, yes, we saw the movies and they were white actors, but you're like, really, a lot of cowboys and things were Black in the day. And it's just like, because, I feel like generally we associate cowboys with white men or things like that. It's like, when you actually Google, you're like, oh, they were Black or at least a darker skin tone if they, if they were not considered Black. And so that was just dope because it has you looking up, learning stuff, actual history. So that's cool.
All right. Next, we have Judas and the Black Messiah. Funny enough, Lakeith Stanfield was also in this movie. And probably the only other brother who has the same acting chops was not in Heart of the Fall. I wonder if he felt some type of way, but Daniel Kaluuya. And so for those of you who don't know, I'm sure if you're a member of the Pop Cult, you're familiar with this, but Judas and the Black Messiah is the story of the Chicago chairman of the Black Panther Party, Fred Hampton. And really, actually, it is about you could say like the FBI mold that they intercepted into that chapter of the Black Panther Party. But really, this movie is about how racist J. Edgar Hoover and the FBI is. Like, in case you're wondering, J. Edgar Hoover was racist as hell and was so nervous about Black people that he invested millions of taxpayer dollars into just stalking Black leaders all throughout the 60s and parts of the 70s, because he was so afraid that a charismatic, passionate, motivated Black person could lead a revolt to the American government led by or with galvanizing Black folks and other poor people against the American government. And so J. Edgar Hoover's vision or concern was, it's only going to take one person, and that one person is going to be the Messiah. And we have to shut it down or it'll be the end of the American government, which is why Martin Luther King got assassinated, which is why Fred Hampton got killed, which is why the Black Panther Party was dismantled from the bottom up. So yeah, this movie was just a snapshot on the evilness of J. Edgar Hoover on the Black community. But yeah, I love this movie mostly because the acting was just so good. Like, the story was great, but watching Daniel Kaluuya turn into Fred Hampton, none of us were around when Fred Hampton was like big and well known. We only know the stories in like a couple clips. But like, Daniel Kaluuya became Fred Hampton, and we were able to like actually see and experience what other people may have experienced at that time. And that was phenomenal. Like, it was just great to like experience what that story is. And like, shout out to Lakeith Stanfield. I don't know if I would have been courageous enough to play that man, because that man, yeah. I don't remember his name, but I saw an interview of him and he was scarred for the rest of his life for what he did. So yeah, shout out to Lakeith Stanfield for doing that as well.
Yeah. And it's wild because like that stays with you. If you do a great role, it's to an extent, it gets hard to distinguish between real life and that, because like I look back to when I was really little and I saw What's Love Got to Do with It? And, Lawrence Fishburne was playing Ike Turner, Dietner and stuff. And then I remember I saw a movie later and he was in it. And like, as a little kid, I'm like, why is he there? Like, he's supposed to be in jail and I legit did not like him for a minute.
You still look at Lawrence Fishburne some type of way, Shannon?
Yeah.
You were watching him in The Matrix like, I don't know, Neo. Something about it.
Get away from him, Ike. Get away. You leave Neo alone.
You see what he did to Tina? I don't trust him. Like, yes, that's a character, but I know there's got to be some people that are like, I mean, I don't really mess with dudes. Like, like even in real life, they're like, he played it a little too well. I don't really trust him that much. So I think, he
start looking for your wallet and your keys when the key come into the room. Like, oh, what's up, man? What's up? Where's my keys? All right, brother. Yeah, it's good seeing you. You don't give him a hug. You just give him like a stiff handshake. Like, stay away from me. Yeah, I feel you.
And then I will say lastly, just with Fred Hampton, Daniel Kaluuya's role. Yeah, it just causes you to reflect once again, like, one, the ugliness of racism and things like that, but also, like, I don't know how fragile is, I guess, the U.S. government if we're afraid one person who's not even trying to necessarily destroy the government to take over the U.S. or something. They're just like, we want to make sure that we're treated right. If this one person causes people to say they want to be treated right, it could destroy our entire fragile balance here. I'm like, how whack is the U.S. if that's how we are? I digress.
Facts, Shannon Smith.
He was Fred Hampton in real life. He was 21 years old. So, and what was his spread? Maybe for 2 years, 3 years, maybe. Like, so maybe
something
from the age
like that, like 2 years, yeah.
Yeah. So from the age of 18 or 19 to 21, like just the impact and everything that he had. to the fact that the government said, okay, we gotta take this guy out, this 20 or 21-year-old. It's wild.
Y'all, we kind of went through we didn't shout out WandaVision, but we also did an episode on WandaVision. So you can check that out. That was the volume 2 of Superhero Roundtable if you want to go back and listen. So gentlemen, looking back on your list, are there any other things you want to discuss before we wrap up the show?
So in defense of Nels, you came at me about Encanto and In the Heights. Encanto's been blown up, and I put those both on the list tied because those soundtracks have been playing Encanto only came out, I think, this December or November, but I was playing In the Heights so much that my wife told me to stop. She was like that Michael Jordan. She's like, stop. I was waking up. I was like, good morning, Gusnave. She was like, just stop, please. I'm telling you, man, that movie came out in the summer, and the rest of the year, your boy was In the Heights.
So, that's how I know it was a banger. Because you just, and I know you, Mark, so you must have played that all the time.
Yeah, those two soundtracks have been banging in my house ever since. So I just want to, to defend myself with that. Succession, have y'all watched Succession at all?
Nah, I haven't.
But I only heard good things.
Yeah. I'm not really big into the look how sad it is to be rich kind of thing. But Succession is we're going to show you how the rich live, and we're going to show you how it basically messes up who you are on the inside. And it's just a whole different set of rules, a whole different set of life. One thing I've realized watching the show and just, looking at the news, being rich grants you privacy and it grants you access, right? But when you're on the level of these Richard Murdochs and all these people, when you're that rich, one thing that is stripped from you is trust. You can trust no one. You can't trust your family. You can't trust your friends. It's just a fascinating show. It's almost like it's a Greek tragedy, but it takes place in our world. I highly recommend it to anyone who watch it. So that's Succession. And then the last thing I just want to say is Luca, my number one. Man, me and my youngest Zari, we love this movie. I love this movie because Pixar basically made a Miyazaki movie, but in their style. It is just a nice, light, fun movie. There's no really big bad. There's no ticking clock. It's just a nice little contained, wholesome story. And the animation, it's Pixar, so the animation's amazing. But I just really, really, really enjoyed Luca. I think it might be my favorite Pixar movie.
Oh, that's what's up, because so I have not seen it, but that was Luke's favorite movie for a minute. I think we went out on faith. I think we saw what is rated G or whatever, but we went out on faith. We hadn't seen it ourselves, but we had downloaded on his tablet, and he would constantly watch it and then would come to us being like, such and such happened. Just like in Luca, why was so-and-so's hat like this? Why was so-and-so? And I'm like, I have not seen this movie, so I don't know how to answer that. But he loved it. He would want to watch it every day for it went on for probably a week or two.
Shannon, shout out to you. Your child had a favorite movie and you did not watch it. I don't know what magic you did in the household to be able to navigate to not watch your kid's favorite movie, but kudos to you, brother. Please let us know your secrets, because I've never heard that before. That is fascinating.
That don't happen around here.
Yeah, we went out on faith. It was a gamble. Luckily, it paid off. But next thing you know, I'm gonna end up being like, hey, here's an episode of such and such, and it turns out it's people cutting other people's head off or something. I'm like, oh, gambled the wrong way. It didn't work out.
All right. And Shannon, we'll turn to you. Anything else on your list that you want to talk about?
Yeah. I'll mention one. I will mention The Water Dancer by Ta-Nehisi Coates. That was just a great book. And I mean, I think it came out before 2021, but I didn't read it until 2021. So it counts on my list. Yeah, it's
you cheated too, Shannon. You cheated too. Anyways, go ahead.
I read it in 2021. So, but nah, it was, like I said, it was a great book. It did, as we talk about sort of that Black torture porn to an extent, like it was sort of sad because it did deal with slavery and things, but then it had this whole mystical piece to it that definitely was like turned almost into like a little bit of a not to say detective, but like mystery type of thing that, I guess detective undercover type stuff. But anyway, it was really good. And also, I mean, by Ta-Nehisi Coates, it's because generally when we think of him, we think of Between the World and I, or Between the World and Me, stuff like that. And I haven't read his run of the Black Panther yet. And then there's this. And so it's just interesting. It's just great though to be like, oh, even outside of the books like Between the World and Me and things like that, he's doing these like fictional things too. So really good.
I highly recommend Ta-Nehisi Coates' run of Black Panther. It is good, especially the last run he did. Fantastic. Anyway, sorry.
Gotta check that. And the other piece, I want to say Ted Lasso. If anybody gets the chance, Ted Lasso is probably the only thing holding together Apple TV Plus or whatever. I can't even remember what it's called now. Is it Apple TV Plus? I think that's what it's called.
You got it.
Come on, Shannon. There's some good stuff on there. Come on, Shannon.
No, I think now they do have some more things, but because I've been hearing a lot about the tragedy of Macbeth. I think people are like, yo, that's an amazing movie. It's on there.
And Swan Song with Mahershala Ali.
Okay, that's on it. Oh, yeah.
That's a movie. It was pretty good.
But I'll say during that point, at least during season 1, I think Ted Lasso was like the only thing holding that streaming service together. And then by season 2 and a little later, they got some better stuff. But I'll say Ted Lasso, I think, is great. And it is what was needed, especially in 2021, because I mean, even season 1 that came out in 2020, they are both needed because we're going through a time now where, I mean, it's just tough. We're dealing with COVID. There's just so much, I mean, to say ugliness in the world and just like, and even if it's just not the ugliness of the day to day, it's just the stress and things that build on, And so this one it's a funny show, and yet it's still not funny, pointless. It's got some great pieces in there. And there's always just this hope. And there's this guy who he has his own issues, but yet he still just shows this constant hope and believing the best in people. And it's generally not, usually that's sort of like, oh, this is just a goofy person or whatever. Like he still has those pieces where it's like, oh, look at you making like the strong decision or, those things. But I think like it just has this piece of comedy plus the kindness that makes you feel good about society again. And so that's what I got to say about that. And it is needed. Yeah.
Shannon, I just want to piggyback. Like you hit all the notes about Ted Lasso. The only reason why it's not on my list is because I haven't finished it. Mm-hmm. I'm almost done with season 1, but it's so refreshing to see like in a world that seems so cynical and hate filled. It's like you can be a good person, and it's okay to be a good person. You can meet nihilism and cynical and mean people. You can battle it with kindness, and you can win, and you can win friends and allies with just being genuine and good and trying to just be a good person. So like it was so refreshing to see that.
All right. And I will bring us home. I'll only really I'll talk about 2 real quick. One, Shang-Chi. Shang-Chi's top 10. Watch it. It's great. I loved it. Better than the actual comic book character. No shade, Shang-Chi. And then Dune. So look, I know if you're a member of the Pop Cult, we all remember those random Saturdays where you look at, I wonder what's on Sci-Fi Channel. And you just saw an entire block and it says Dune. And you're like, well, I ain't watching Dune. And the sand snake or worm or whatever it is. And like the really cryptic messages, and only the really like super nerdy kids in the school like Dune. So you're like, I ain't gonna watch Dune. I feel you. I fell into the hole because I'm now a Dune nerd. That movie, the story was confusing. It was still very confusing and cryptic, but it was so visually beautiful. It made up for all of it. It looked like a movie. You know what I'm saying? Like, you go and you pay money to sit in a theater and watch a movie. It looked like a movie.
It's why people pay for movies. It's spectacle.
Yes. I felt like I watched it on HBO, but if I went to a movie theater, I felt like I would have got all my money's worth, however much money that ticket was. Like, yep, every single cent of it was up there and I got to enjoy it. Now, I will say about Dune, I watched it over a course of 3 days, which is probably why I liked it. Because I don't know if I would have liked sitting down and like trying to take all that in a 2.5 hour span. Like I'd probably talk a little, it probably wouldn't have made the list. But because I got to see it over 3 days and got to reflect and think about what I was actually watching and maybe reading something here or there, I fell in love. I think, Mark, I reached out to you. I was like, yo, Dune is great, brother. I don't know what this thing is about, but it is great. So yeah, I just wanted to give a special shout out to Dune. It was the AKA this episode. So yeah.
One more quick thing to say. I really want everyone to really check out Far From the Tree. It's a short film on Disney Plus. It's basically a wholesome take on generational trauma. And it's beautiful. It made me want to be a better parent. And it's a little short film. It hasn't left me since I watched it. And I think everyone will get something from it.
Thank you all for listening. We have a new episode every month. You can find us on all social media at Pop Cult Parent, POPCULTPARENT. Email us at popcultparent@gmail.com. Don't forget to rate us, review, and subscribe. And in case you all didn't know, we have a website. If you go to all of our social media and go on our link tree, you can find a link to our website. And ladies and gentlemen, I am excited to share that we also have a store. So if you go, you can see some amazing new Pop Cult Parent related t-shirts. One is I Am Culture, that is for adults and for your young one. And we, of course, have one of the hottest new t-shirts in the streets, the 90s. You had to be there. So you can check those out at our store. It's a Bonfire store. So if you go to our social media pages, you can see it there. And as always, join the cult. Peace.
Happy New Year.
We out.